Welcome, everyone. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I will be your mindset coach today. And today, we're going to be talking about a wealth of health information. Now, I have had wonderful doctors come on, talk about their work, give us some great knowledge and wisdom. But today, it's going to take the cake. All right. I don't even know if that's the right saying, but it is going to take everything, right? Put it all on black and you're going to win, because this episode is going to be a winner. But why? Today, we're going to be talking about the root causes and a lot of the issues that you might be facing in your life and your world today. The chronic issues that we're facing: anxiety, stress, obesity, Alzheimer's, dementia, whatever, diabetes, whatever. Today, we're going to be talking about it. How does it happen? Why does it happen? Can you prevent it? And if I told you that you can prevent an illness like cancer, diabetes, autoimmune issues, would you listen? Or would you allow yourself to get sick? Some people spend all of their time making all of this money, and they do. They make a good amount too. But then they spend all of that money trying to get their health back. Today, we're going to be sharing with you what you need to understand, what you need to know in order to give yourself the mindset to better health, to better longevity. This is going to be something that's not going to be a surface level conversation. We're going to be getting into the nitty gritty, what you need to be doing in your life. And if you're not doing, you better get to start doing it. And that's going to be with my guest, Dr. David Bilstrom. Welcome, Dr. David Bilstrom, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Today, we're going to be talking about your work. Of course, you're a doctor, but today we're going to be focusing on some of your specialties. That's going to be autoimmune, chronic disease, and we're going to be touching base on mental health. In your own words, can you give us a backstory of your journey to becoming a doctor and stepping into this work?
Well, originally, I was a spinal cord injury rehabilitation doctor. So all my folks that I saw were either paralyzed from the waist down to the neck down, and very complicated population, very sensitive to medication side effects. But it really taught me of these huge gaps in treating chronic health issues simply with medications and surgery. And this has set me on this 30-year path to figure out what else is out there that I didn't learn about in my traditional training. And as it turns out, there is so much out there that tells us the science is very clear about this, what drives chronic health issues, but also what we can do to reverse the process, including, this epidemic of things that we didn't see a lot of before. And now everybody and the brother and sister have it, including all this neuroinflammation driving anxiety, depression, bipolar schizophrenia, autism, developmental delays, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, seizures, migraines. Oh, the brain is just taking a huge hit. But one thing that I always think is because there's such a tight gut-brain connection, whenever I see brain stuff, I'm always thinking about what's going on with the gut.
Would you say that some of the chronic diseases and ailments that we're experiencing today is going to be because of our diet, maybe because of fast food, because of people maybe not knowing what type of foods they should be eating? I know there's a difference in the types of foods, GMO, organic, and it can cost more to eat organic. Some people do, some people don't. Do you think all of that has alleviated the issues that we're seeing today?
Yeah, it's very challenging to stay healthy nowadays. The world around us it tends to really drive chronic health issues. And this is where you can see, so much going on that wasn't super common before, including all the stuff you see in young people where you go, oh my goodness, how can all this stuff happen? Environmental toxins are big ones. Also, there's toxic things in the food we eating, toxic stress. We live in such a stressful world. But then we also have all that kind of compounded with things that will disrupt the gut, such as a lot of medications, including antibiotics, painkillers, other kind of things disrupt the gut. And that just then translates into throwing everything off, including not only is there a gut-brain connection, but there's a gut connection to every body part. And there's 80% of the immune system surrounds the gut. Thus, this is part of why we have this epidemic of autoimmune disease, where basically our immune system that's supposed to protect us from things that are not us, that are going to hurt us. The immune system actually is attacking our own body parts. We're basically self-destructing.
There has been a lot of talk over the years, especially with the pandemic. Our immune system people have doubts on it. I don't have doubts on my immune system. I know if I get a common cold, I'm going to make it out. But some people, they're so afraid to get sick. They're willing to do whatever it takes. Maybe wear masks. They take a whole dose of vitamin C every single day. They do a lot to get their body in shape to fight off this cold. But then there's also the worry that, or the mentality that their body can't do it. And yes, we do have an increase in autoimmune where people are having issues with fighting off viruses and sicknesses. When we give ourselves a mentality that our body can't do it, do you think that plays a role? And it's going to kind of go into maybe a mental health conversation also, because think of it as if you think you can do something and now you're telling yourself that you can't do it or that you're not able to do it. Eventually, the brain is going to say, well, that's the case. And I'm just going to give you a quick example, then I'm going to let you take over. I used to be a teacher, and every year I got sick one time, just once. And it happened typically around October, November time. That's when all the kids are not wearing their jackets. It's getting a little bit cooler. And I would get sick. But when I left teaching and I was no longer a teacher, I still got sick once a year. And I said, why am I getting sick once a year? I'm not around sick kids anymore. But I was giving myself this mentality. And then I said to myself, well, I don't need to get sick anymore. And I don't get sick anymore like I used to once a year. Now, of course, if there's, I'm around a sick person, they're coughing and they're sneezing, yes, this is a good probability that I could get sick, but it's no longer a mental game. Before it was a mental game, and it was so astounding to me how that could happen, where I gave myself, like an illness every single year. Maybe in school it was warranted, but when I left, it wasn't. I'm just going to let you take over that, just the mindset, the autoimmune, giving ourselves the recipe to win.
Well, I think what you're kind of saying is the body is super smart and the body's always trying to move towards wellness. If we're not experiencing wellness, there's always a good reason. And we should be able to figure it out. The body is super, super complicated, but super, super logical. And we tend to make preventing health issues, whether it's infections or cardiovascular disease or heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, obesity, autoimmune disease, all this kind of stuff. Should make it cancer, make it look really hard. The body is so smart, it's naturally going to try to fix everything and keep us healthy. So like if you're walking around the house with bare feet and you kick a chair leg, you're hopping around with tremendous toe pain. But inherently, we know our body can fix that. We're not thinking, oh, great, terrible toe pain for 20 years. We're thinking 2 to 3 minutes, my body takes care of it, I'm fine. But when it comes to this other kind of stuff, we don't think that way. We don't think, well, the body's so smart. If we do the right thing, our body should be able to take care of this. Like you said, hey, I just kind of a mindset change was all it took to change this immune system thing. It's like, well, that seems too easy. But say, no, your body is so smart. But you just have to kind of know what the biggest fish to fry to get your body to really take care of this stuff. Preventative medicine a lot of times people are told, well, you got to change how you're eating and you got to exercise. At the exact same time, incredibly vague, but incredibly complicated. How do I exercise? I'm like, no, it's not that hard. Really, truly, if you know the language the body speaks, actually the body is very logical how it works. You get some big thing, just shift it a little bit, your body runs with it. It's not as hard as it seems, but most of the time people are not really doing the big stuff. They're doing a lot of smaller stuff that is kind of setting a foundation, but the body's kind of missing something. And mindset is a big one to get the body heading in the right direction. It's kind of like, well, if you can think it, you can get there. But if you can't think it and visualize it, you're probably not going to get there, kind of a thing. So that is a big one. But there's other big ones that really just put the body in position to fix what it needs to fix.
You talked about like a lot of, I guess it was neuroinflammation of like these chronic diseases that we might be dealing with. Is this going to be stemming from our day-to-day life? As you said, we have more stress, more anxiety. Technology might not be helping our life any more than what it is. Yes, it is a great tool for us to communicate, make our lives easier. The cars we drive, the homes we live in, it's all, technology. But it is also hurting the mind, is hurting the body. Is there a way that we can understand what's happening in the world and begin to make some changes for a better health, both body and mind?
It is very challenging to stay healthy, but the body is so smart. There's things we can do to kind of put it in a much better position. One big central mechanism that gets thrown off is our cells have receptors for things that the cells need to function. People hear a lot about vitamin D is very important, but also there's receptors called vitamin D receptors in every cell in the body. so that vitamin D can attach. There's ever so many studies about how we need to get vitamin D levels up. Typically, we're all tanked because we don't make it from sun exposure. We don't eat food with high vitamin D levels anymore. So really need to supplement. But those vitamin D receptors can become resistant to vitamin D. So you can even have all the vitamin D in the world. It can't find a place to attach, a little bit like insulin resistance, where you hear this a lot because 2/3 of Americans are pre-diabetic, where the receptors in their cells become resistant to insulin. The pancreas makes insulin to control blood sugar, but it can't attach and do the work. Almost like you don't have insulin, blood sugar goes up, diabetes and all this. Well, the same thing happens to the vitamin D receptors. But the ones that are most important are the vitamin D receptors in the gut. There's so many more there than the other body part. The study started coming out that with this vitamin D receptor resistance, it is a huge central mechanism for everything. But if you fix it, use central mechanism. So the way you fix it is with three things. We call them the foundational triad: vitamin D, probiotics, and something called butyrate. And butyrate is a short chain fatty acid made by the good bacteria in the gut. So we're really talking about is three things that the body should make. Vitamin D, we can't do it nowadays like we used to from sun exposure, et cetera. Probiotics, the good bacteria in the gut, for example, fermented foods, other things. The good bacteria in the gut starts forming even before somebody's born. Breast milk helps the microbiome, the good bugs in the gut form, and all this kind of stuff. So it starts early, but it can be disrupted. And then the butyrate made by the good bacteria themselves in the gut. Those three things will fix the vitamin D receptor resistance. Originally, they go, wow, this is exactly what you got to do to reverse autoimmune disease of the gut, like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, reverse recurrent infections of the gut, like C. diff and H. pylori, which are notoriously hard to get rid of. Exactly what you want to do. But they go, oh my goodness, this seems like exactly what you want to do for everything. And then all the data that's come out since that time backs that up. So like 6 months later, the exact same researchers said, oh my goodness, this is a nuclear weapon against metabolic syndrome, insulin and blood sugar control issues, abnormal weight gain, and cholesterol triglyceride rate. Oh my gosh, it's a nuclear weapon at fixing insulin resistance. Oh, that's how vitamin D receptors impact insulin receptors. But then a couple of years ago, Harvard Journal of Psychiatry says, wow, if you fix the gut this way, and I go, oh, that's what happens when you fix those vitamin D receptors. They say, you can treat major depressive disorder with this. It's so good for brain chemistry. Another psychiatric journal comes out and goes, oh my goodness, if you fix the gut this way, it impacts personalities. People become more outgoing and more social. And so this has such a global impact. And, you know, it's kind of like it's helping you become you, because you may say, well, I'm very shy and introvert. I've got major depressive disorder. That's just who I am. It's like, well, no. That's just kind of, you know, what's going on inside your system. You might be a very outgoing and you know, person and, you know, not depressed at all. Well, you fix what's going on in the system. You really become who you are. That might be a lot different than the person you think you are, just because you kind of been stuck in a place that, you know, is not the best place for quite a while.
Forgive me for not knowing, because I'm not a person who takes a lot of drugs and stuff. I mean, the most I would take is, you know, multivitamin here and there, you know, maybe protein shakes and stuff, but nothing crazy. But here in America, we do have, and doctors get a bad rap for this because they will get a patient who might be suffering from depression. They want to help this person, so they will prescribe a medication for them, an antidepressant pill. And sometimes that person, you know, needs it because they might have a chemical imbalance, but oftentimes that person can do the work themselves to get out of whatever they're feeling. Whichever path we take, is there anything in these antidepressants that is going to correlate to looking at these things, you know, these triads that we need, the vitamin D, the probiotics, the butyrate? Is that something in these antidepressants that maybe one of the reasons why doctors readily give these to their patients?
No, actually, most prescription medicines are more involved in symptom control. They don't get at the root cause why you have something, they just get at the symptom. Now, there's really nothing wrong with using these medications, because if you have something that is so profoundly problematic that you can't do your stuff, you can't get up in the morning, you can't get going, you can't take care of your kids, you can't get to work, you can't even put your pants on in the morning, whatever it is, I'm fatigued, I'm brain fogged, I'm pain, I'm depressed, whatever it is, you got to do what you got to do to get through your day. But ideally, what those medicines should be used for is, well, let's get you through your day. Okay, you got to get there. But now it buys us time to go back and do our due diligence to really figure out why you got this. And if then we figure out why, and there's no reason we can't, we address why you got this. Because the medicine didn't really fix the big picture, but just a couple of symptoms, you still got other stuff going on that you don't really want either. Well, you take care of the root cause. Well, now you feel so much better than you did just on the medicine, to the point where you feel so good, you're probably in a position to start coming down, weaning off the medicine, and then stopping it. And then you don't need it anymore because now you fixed what actually give it to you. But also, because you fixed why you got this thing and feel better overall, well, now you're going to stay good. Medicines, because they don't fix why you got it, the why keeps pushing in the wrong direction. And then you get this new thing, and then this other thing, and then another thing. It just keeps seeing one after another. But when you go back and take care of why you got this, this, and this, well, now you're going to stay good. You're not going to keep getting new stuff as time goes on. With the, like, some of the antidepressants are what they call selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. They make the body think you have more serotonin than you do. So if you take one of those meds and you feel better, it kind of begs the question, well, why do you need a medicine to make your body think you have more serotonin than you really do? Why don't you just have enough serotonin in the first place? Well, if you know that the good bacteria in the gut make 95% of all serotonin for the body and brain, you're like, oh, okay, I felt better with this medicine. I'm not making it myself. Let's go back and fix the gut, including get that mix of good, bad bugs in the gut right, the intestinal microbiome. I start making serotonin all by myself. And now my mood's great, but also that serotonin that I'm making better now, that's helping me sleep better. That's helping my immune system. That's helping me get rid of constipation in my gut because it helps gut motility. And it's doing all this stuff. Beautiful. Oh, my good bacteria also make GABA, the calming neurotransmitter. That's nice. It also makes melatonin, the sleep-wake cycle hormone. But also we know that melatonin helps keep away heart attacks, strokes, cancer, Alzheimer's, osteoporosis. Oh, these good bacteria make these short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Oh, butyrate prevents cancer fibroids. Actually kills cancer fibroids. Actually keeps the lung healthy, keeps the brain healthy, including gets the brain to recover after a stroke. Oh my goodness, your body starts making all these important things on its own. And now you're taking care of everything on your own without the help of medications long-term.
Like, this is groundbreaking, because this is something that you don't learn in school. You go to a science class, biology class, you might even be a nurse. You might not know all of these different things that you're speaking on today. Why is it that we are not getting this education in schools, maybe even in college? Why is it something that we have to dig deep for rather than just saying, hey, we need to be paying attention to this because this is going to give us longevity?
Well, I think there's so much information out there, huge explosion in scientific knowledge. When I used to lecture like 30 years ago, I'd say things like medical knowledge is doubling every 7 years now, but we anticipate by 2020, it's going to be doubling like every 72 days. And here we are past that. Medical knowledge just is doubling so fast. It's so hard to keep up on information. So most medical practitioners, just trying to keep up with medicines to help people with what they got going on doesn't really allow a lot of time to kind of figure out, well, let's go back and figure out what's really going on. Oh my gosh, I can't even keep up with the information on these medicines that are coming out so fast, kind of a thing. But this is where you've kind of figured out that just putting bandages on things gets people through the day, but they just keep getting new stuff all the time. So we really want to go back and yes, let's use those, but let's now educate everybody about where this stuff comes from in the first place and what you can do to reverse it once it's there. Then we may not need the meds forever, even though they might have been a life changer when we used them. But also medications always tend to have downsides. If you have to be on a medicine long term, well, you want to be on that medicine because of a significant upside. But we also want to go, oh, well, we know what the downside of this medicine is. Let's address that to make sure that you only get the up without the down of any medicine that you might need, more than short term, maybe a long term, because maybe you got so much stress in your life, family situation, work situation, that, oh my gosh, that stress is dragging you down every day, impacting your sleep and all this. Well, you might need some medicine, but let's make sure you get the up without the down. We know what the down is, so we should be able to address that.
You have a book, The Nurse's Practitioner's Guide. And I believe in this book, you're trying to bring this education to individuals so they can know this knowledge themselves. What was that key factor that made you want to give this book some attention and want to promote it to the world?
Well, I think it's easy when people are diagnosed with a health condition, whether it's autoimmune or something else, that inherently they may say, well, geez, why did I get this? Well, they may be told, well, we have no idea why you got this. Okay, well, how can I make it go away? No, you can't make it go away. You're stuck with it forever. The only option you have is this medicine that's going to help you with a few symptoms. And takes away a lot of the patient's power. It's like, well, geez, no matter what I do, it's not going to make a difference anyway, kind of a thing, right? And I'm like, no, the body is so smart. It can turn this stuff around. So we're trying to educate people why this happens, but also how you can reverse the process and then ultimately stay healthy long term. And so this book is all about the basics, because truly, even though the body is super, super complicated, it is super, super logical. And if you know the inherent logic behind how the body works, really, it's not stay healthy or reverse stuff as we might think. And so this book is all about the basics. And I can't talk about any industry, any kind of things. Well, masters do the basics well. And if you know the basics, if you can master the basics, you are the master. So this book is all about exactly why this is such a big problem, exactly why it happens, exactly what tests to run, exactly how to interpret the test results, exactly what supplements or other interventions to do to address that, exactly when to retest the blood test or whatever other test, exactly what to do if things are changing or not changing, and then exactly what to do to pull back on the interventions as your body gets healthy enough to take over and do the work itself. You don't need most of this stuff long term because now your body's taken over and you've really done your due diligence to maintain health in this person till they're 80, 90, or even beyond possibly. Because there's an expert in every community now, well, now that community knows we know where this stuff comes from, and they know how to make it go away. And it's very empowering for the community to have somebody who's taught them that.
As I was beginning to say, Bruce Lee, he says, I don't fear the man who knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who knows or has practiced one kick 10,000 times.
Oh, that's good.
And that mentality is very similar to aspect of not just focusing on, well, let's fix this with a Band-Aid, fix this with something quick, and look at the root of what we're trying to do. The master decided to practice one thing, the root, and make it perfection to an extent. That's why they're the master, because a lot of people today, they have this mentality of more is more, when really, if you have less, you can focus on those things more. Because it's going to be easy in our world today to say we have this problem, we have this stress, and this is what many people are facing with the severe stress and anxiety, autoimmune, all of these things going on in their life is because they have so much at their fingertips. Maybe it's because of, more career hours. They want to do more. They want to have a different lifestyle. They might have a idea for traveling. They want to travel more. That can cause burden and stress. For me, I love to travel, but it brings about a certain amount of stress because if you have a family, you got to make sure all the kids are there. Like, okay, all the kids are here. Cool. Okay, we got to get to the hotel. How are we going to facilitate that? And there's a lot of logistics involved. It does bring some stress. But then you want to live life. And our phone sometimes can get in the way of that too, because we're always looking at our phone. Oh, look at this brand new news that just came out from Fox News or ABC or CNN, whatever station. And now we are getting worried. Now we are constraining ourselves to, these outlets, and we're not doing what we can do. So people, they get into this mindset of what they can't do rather than what they can do. Just looking at that root cause again, because that whole spiel was, we have failed to be able to look at the root cause because we look for the quick fix. How can I be happy right now? I want to be happy today. I don't want to be happy tomorrow. And if we continue with this mindset, we're always going to be chasing something that is going to like almost make us happy, when reality is happiness was always in front of us. The opportunity to heal our body and our mind has always been in front of us. People are afraid to do the work. Why do you think so many people are afraid to get to the root cause and they would readily go for a Band-Aid or surface level fix?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what you're saying is how crazy our lives are. And if you're saying, okay, I got all this stuff, I'm juggling 100 balls in the air, and now I'm going to try to take on this whole health thing, I don't have time. I just don't have time. I'm not even going to sleep, right? As it is, I'm so challenged with that. And now I'm going to spend extra time. So this is where, we try to teach people what to do to get the biggest bang for your effort. There's people out there that do spend a lot of time educating themselves, and they'll come in to see me, even though they've done all this work on like 50 different supplements, but they're still not feeling great. And I can look at every supplement and go, oh my gosh, you are so smart. You figured that out and this out. And it all makes total sense. When you say, yes, for this, they may go, oh, well, that's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Now, we're kind of in a pill-taking world, and you can, meditate, 3 hours a day, exercise 2 hours a day. Nobody has that much time, just about. Very good, but you're still missing some stuff, kind of a thing. And truly, when it comes to like meditation and that kind of stuff, like 2 minutes a day, fairly regularly, is better than like 2 hours, 3 times a week or something like that. It's more the repetition, teaching the body what calm feels like, where you get the benefit. So it's not like you got to do it for hours. It's like, give me 2 minutes. Or when we lived in downtown Chicago, everybody's got a lot of red lights they got to deal with. We're like, hey, just take 3 deep breaths every red light you run into. Well, man, they're like meditating for 2 hours, little bits, right? But then like you get your vitamin D just right. You take that foundational triad, the supplement that the liver makes, and everything I talk about basically that is going to help the body heal like this or stay healthy is actually something that the body inherently should make on its own. Whether it's serotonin, butyrate, vitamin D, all this kind of stuff. And there's another one the liver makes called TUDCA. It's a capital TUDCA. And it is so important to counter the drive from our crazy world driving what they call the civilization diseases. All these things that are happening now, they're so much more common than they used to. If you take away the water in a human being, we're left with 80% protein. A few vitamins, minerals, fat, but mainly protein. So hormones, neurotransmitters, cell walls, of course, hair, nails, all this kind of stuff. But the world around us is so challenging for human health because it's creating inflammation right in the spot in the cells where new healthy proteins are made. And what happens are the proteins are misfolded. It's called the misfolded protein response. Misfolding of proteins drives everything you see that is so much more common than it used to be, whether it's obesity, diabetes, cancer, kidney disease, autism, cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart attacks and strokes, and Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, cataracts, gut issues, autoimmune disease. And this thing made by the liver called TUDCA, they call the chaperone molecule because it chaperones these proteins to the production process so they do not become misfolded. And this is why TUDCA is such a big thing with this epidemic of type 1 diabetes, where people's pancreases stop making insulin. They have to have insulin pumps. But this TUDCA gets the insulin not to be misfolded during the production process, so you just don't get type 1 diabetes. This is why premature infants' livers don't make as much TUDCA as term babies' livers, so premature infants are more likely to get type 1 diabetes. It's so important in setting the system in a great place at an early age, but those preemies also, because their liver doesn't make enough TUDCA early on, they're more likely to get type 2 diabetes decades later. We know where this stuff comes from. We know what the body needs. The body's trying to make it on its own, but if it just can't make enough to stay healthy or to counterbalance the challenges from our world around us, the science is very clear what we can do to help them reverse that whole thing.
This is all wonderful, amazing information because I have never heard about this before. And it's so important that we get this information out because, part of my mission is, helping people with limiting beliefs in their mindset. But in order to do that, you have to have a vessel. You have to have a good body. Because if your body can't, sustain what you have to do, like the hard work, it's going to be really hard to get to the life that someone wants. And if they're suffering from any of these ailments that we spoke about today, this could be an eye-opening experience that they have to look at what is truly going on in their life. Because, people will come to me saying, I'm not happy in my career, or I have a terrible relationship. These are big things that the individual wants to have fixed in their life. But we do have to look at other areas. It's not just, hey, look at your relationship and, make sure everything is good. Let's look at your career. Why are you not happy in your career? Oh, you have a bad boss. That's why you don't like it. When sometimes that's not only the case, right? That could just be maybe the cherry on top. That's like, okay, final straw. I'm reaching out to Michael. Many people, they don't see what is truly there in front of them. And we do have to invite people to look at those root causes and to look at where they should be beginning. My final question to you is, where should people begin? Should they look at their diet first? Should they look at their physical fitness first, their mental health first? Or should they, check out your website to go through a process that you might have already have created for a new patient?
Yeah, so on my website, we have a free online email course. It's called Medical Bill Detox, because as you start getting these health issues, it becomes a financial burden. For this test or that med that your insurance doesn't cover, and bing, 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 bing. One trip to the ER, oh my gosh, hospitalization. What we're trying to do with these 7 emails is each one's only about a 6 to 8 minute read, but each one takes a real deep dive into why people get this stuff and what you can do on your own to reverse the process. Gut health, the stress hormone cortisol, the infections that drive chronic disease, how foods can become problematic for us, vitamin deficiencies, hormone imbalances, and then the environmental toxins that tend to be so challenging for the body. And then the very first email, though, is all about epigenetics. So epigenetics, we used to think the genes are DNA that tells the cells what to do, was hardwired. Whatever we got good, bad, otherwise from parents and grandparents, and you're kind of hoping you got more good than bad, right? Because you're looking at your parents and grandparents and go, oh crap, there's some stuff going on. I hope I didn't get those genes. Well, it turns out it's not what genes you have, it's which ones get turned on and turned off. So epigenetics is the things that alter gene expression without changing the genetic code. So it turns out there's a lot of bad genes, you got to turn them off. All the good genes, you got to turn them on. Well, when you're not feeling so good, one reason why it's so easy for a bunch of stuff to be going wrong at the same time is you've turned on bad genes and turned off good genes in every cell in your body. So all the cells being told the wrong information. So everything that we're talking about, including meditation, getting out in nature, just interacting with nature is so helpful for human health and well-being. Fixing this vitamin deficiency, making sure you got enough of this TUDCA, the gut making this butyrate. Well, actually, butyrate works exclusively through epigenetics. TUDCA works through epigenetics, the flipping genes, and it does this chaperone job on top of it. Oh yeah, and TUDCA kills cancer cells as well. So all the big things are working through epigenetics, flipping all the genes the right way in every cell in your body. And that's what you want to do to change everything. But also we know that if you can do that for a child before age 19, lock them in place before 19, they just don't get stuff as an adult, including adverse childhood events. Things like divorce, separation, substance abuse in the household, somebody becomes incarcerated, physical, verbal, sexual abuse, trauma. All these adverse childhood events flip the genes around. That's why kids that go through that are much more likely to get obesity and cancer and diabetes and all this kind of stuff. Well, if you can flip those genes back the right way by age 19, they just don't get stuff as an adult. You've done your due diligence to prevent it. If you can flip those genes the right way before somebody has a child, they are passing on cleaner genes to the next 6 to 8 generations. The next 6 to 8 generations benefit health-wise and mental health-wise, of course, from optimizing epigenetics before conceiving a child. Now, if you're already past that stage and you've had your kids, but you're not feeling good, we can fix you too. But if we can do that before somebody has kids, the next generations are so much healthier. But this also goes back to we're the product of the previous 6 to 8 generations. So this is where you hear things like we live the trauma of past generations. This is generational trauma stuff. Where trauma happened, their genes got flipped the wrong way, and it keeps getting passed on. Bump, 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 bump. That's got to stop. We got to stop the trauma from happening in the first place. Holy cow! But also we got to do what we know we can do. But science is very clear about flipping those genes so that person doesn't suffer from that past trauma. But then we can pass on cleaner genes the next 6 to 8 generations as well.
This is again all new stuff to me, and I mean I've interviewed a lot of people. I think we're on almost episode 460 or something right now. It's a lot of episodes. I talked to a lot of doctors, and in this right here, again, is new to me because we really got down to the root cause today of all the issues. And I love how you presented it. It's definitely really important for people to learn more about what you're doing, check you out, be on that email list. Where is the best place for people to reach out to you and find you?
So it's drdavidbilstrom.com is my website. And then from there, you can access 2 different levels of courses for non-medical, 2 different levels for medical, all the blog posts and all the videos I've done about this stuff, over 150 videos on YouTube channel. They're all based on scientific studies. Usually I do the videos out in nature because nature has been shown to help human health and well-being, whether you're indoor gardening or you're looking out the window or you're at a park. in where we are. We're going up to Yellowstone National Park on Sunday because it's an hour away and it's opening up. And so, but nature is amazing for doing this. We really want people to know that this is the science. I might be sitting on top of a mountain with my snowboard. Hey, here's the scientific article from the Journal of Psychiatry, and then I go through it, and we really want people to know that we can turn this stuff around, we can prevent it, but it's really truly, this is the science. It's not one person's opinion, of course.
And I'll make it easy for everyone. The links are going to be in the description box below, including your website and any other social media website that's available. I encourage everyone to check you out and to begin to get to the root cause of what might be causing you issues in your life today. I want to thank you so much, Dr. David Bilstrom, for coming on and sharing your immense amounts of wisdom and education with us today. All right, everyone. I'd like to thank you so much for watching that episode, that interview with Dr. David Bilstrom. Like I said, whoa, that was a eye-opening experience, especially for me. I know about, having a healthy body and healthy mind and things along those lines, but to look at all the different nuances of different things, it's very similar to how a teacher, a master can see a student, or they can see something, a pupil, they can see where they need some improvement, they can need some help. I do this a lot when I was a swim coach, or I did it a lot when I was a swim coach, because you would get a child, and that child, might be afraid of the water. Maybe their kicks are wrong. Maybe their arms are wrong. Maybe they don't know how to, take breaths and things along those lines. And you start to work on all of the problem areas. And eventually, they are doing a great job swimming. We look at where we need some assistance, where we need some help. And if we don't focus on those areas, we're going to keep on doing the wrong thing. It is easy to go out and get some fast food. Heck, sometimes I'm driving, I'm kind of hungry. I have food at home, but there's food right next to me. Being hungry can be uncomfortable sometimes. I understand that. Why would I want to be uncomfortable? This is what many people are going to be in the mindset and the mentality of, why should I even be uncomfortable? They would rather cover up any symptoms that they're having if they're hungry, if they're tired, if they have a headache or a migraine, whatever it be. Give me the quick fix. Don't give me the long-winded answer or the long-winded cure. I want peace and comfort right now. And this mentality, though it might be serving people today, will it serve you tomorrow? And I don't necessarily mean tomorrow, people. I mean tomorrow into the future, right? 5 years, 10 years from now. And you already know, I talked about this story before. When I was in my 20s, early 20s, I just finished my schooling, my master's, and I was working as a teacher. This was something that I had to, have that rude awakening for, because I did a 5K and I was like, I'm a super strong guy. And I'm like, I got hurt and I'm like, I'm still going to run the 5K. And I ran the 5K and I hurt myself even more. And then I'm in my 20s and I can't even walk down the hallway. I have to take Advil before I went to work just so I can move to my classroom. And during the day, I'm just like, oh my God, this is painful. This is tough. And it was just sciatica, but it was enough to give me that limiting belief of, oh man, this is going to be my whole life. I'm in my 20s and my life is already over. Because if I didn't fix it, if I didn't do the root cause work, I can tell you that I would be in a deep, dark place right now. This is even before me thinking about becoming a mindset coach, because I was a teacher, right? I just wanted to be a teacher at the time. I didn't know I would start my own business and be a coach one day. I knew I loved to educate. I knew I loved to teach. I knew I loved to learn. But sometimes we don't know what the next step is. And so I didn't know what the next step was for me, but I was curious. And I asked myself this question: do I want to allow this ailment to beat me? Do I want to struggle through life the way I was struggling, being able to barely walk, not able to, do the things that I loved? I said, I don't want this life. I want different for myself. That is when I began to educate myself. How can I fix the problem that I was facing? It could be something easy that someone got right the first time, but for me, I went to doctors, I went to chiropractors, I did all of these different things, and what worked for me was Bikram yoga, doing yoga stretching. And then from there, I noticed when, it would flare up again, the reason why it flared up. Because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing the stretches. I was sitting poorly, bad posture, you name it, right? I wasn't doing what needed to be done. And then whenever it flared up, I said, oh, well, let me see if there's a quick fix, right? Oh, let me do these sciatica stretches, and that's going to be it. Today, I don't experience that issues, or I don't experience any of those pains anymore because I said, let me get to the root. I thought in my 20s, I would have to have surgery or something. I'm like, Jesus, I'm going to have surgery because this is going to be the only way that I'm going to get better. Heck, even if like my joints started to hurt, my knees or my elbows, I said, what is the root cause? You're not going to believe it, people. It was the foods I was eating. I'm like, let me start to change my foods too. Let me start to adjust. I started to make these small adjustments, even though I was in shape because I can eat a lot of bad food and I can still look really, really good. It's not so much about what's on the outside. It's also about what's on the inside. Because when I work with these clients who have a lot of money, I'm talking about millions of dollars, right? They have a lot of money and they don't care how they spend it. The outside looks really good. I'm telling you. You see the big houses, you see the fast cars, you're like, I want this life. But then, for me, I have to get into their life. I have to get, speak with them, their families. I help them with mindset and life coaching, right? The inside is not that great. There could be a lot of issues going on. And you can just think of worldly issues. On the outside, it looks perfect. It's like if you put up a new fresh coat of paint on a rusted car. It looks really good today. It might look really good tomorrow, but give it a month. You're going to start to see some brown spots coming because the rust is going to be, pushing its way through that paint. Maybe within 3 months, now that car that looks so great is not looking so great. Same thing with a house that has like rotted wood and you paint over the wood. Yeah, sure, it looks good. Or maybe mold damage from like a rainstorm or something like that. You paint over it. Yeah, it looks really good right now, but now we have a bigger issue later on. What is the root cause? What do we need to do? How do we fix it? And many people would rather not put in the time, put in the effort, or maybe even the expense to invest in themselves to make sure that things are going to be in a better position and a better light for them. So they try to do the shortcuts. In life, the shortcuts might get us to where we think we want to be a lot sooner. The end result of where we truly want to be is going to be taking time, and it's going to be because of consistent effort that we put forth. And we need to have the education. We need to have the knowledge. Maybe call it even wisdom once you learn it and you can instill it into others. We don't learn this stuff. This is why podcasts are so powerful, because we can talk to so many different people. We can have so many different conversations, and we can give that to you. And then from there, you get to make a choice. Do you take action, or do you stay exactly where you are? Some people choose to stay where they are. There's no harm in that. The harm is going to be a long term. It's going to be detrimental to your life in the future. But if you want to do the work today, if you want to change your life, not only your life, but the next 3 to 6 generations, as Dr. Bilstrom was saying, this is going to be big. This is amazing information that if you don't have things squared away by 19, you are going to have some issues. A bit of that comes to the mindset coaching and why I started mindset coaching. Because when I saw the kids leaving at the age of 18 from high school, they weren't ready for the real world. They were not equipped. They have a lot of problems, whether it be broken households, divorce, alcohol, drugs, whatever it be, right? There's something going on in the house. And you can see that they're broken. And you can see the paths that they're about to go on. And I said that this is not only this city. This is going to be that city. This is going to be the whole entire nation. Heck, maybe even the whole world. And I said that these children, these young adults, they're not equipped to handle the real world. And they're going to fall victim to all the traumas that they have faced because they do not know how to address them. And I said, if I can educate them, if I can help them get over it, so not only their life, but their children's life and their children's life and the next generations to follow almost indefinitely, as long as they continue with this mindset of investing in themselves, health and fitness, mental health, prosperity, this is going to be the healing of the root cause, the fixing of the root symptom, the healing of what is truly going on versus what's going to make it look good today. Because I can tell someone that you're doing great, you're living a wonderful life, be happy for what you got. Or I can tell them the truth. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Are you willing to do it? And sometimes when I say that, it turns people away, and I understand. Doing hard work is hard. But I would rather be honest with you saying that you have to do the hard work than lie and say everything's going to be okay when nothing's going to be okay if you don't give yourself that urgency. In your life, you should create a fire that's going to ignite yourself to propel you, give yourself a momentum, a mindset that's going to instill that you're going to be all right, but it's going to require work. It's going to require you to learn the things that you don't know. And then once you know those things, to be consistent and to not just say that you got to the goal. The goal is going to be always moving. We need to keep on moving with it. So if you're a person that might be hurting right now, if you're a person that is struggling with limiting beliefs, or if you have one of these chronic diseases or ailments, this is something that you have to address today. And I encourage everyone to check out Dr. David Bilstrom's website, check out what he's doing, get the book, and to join that mailing list, because that right there is going to be an eye-opening experience for many people. Again, it's going to be a 6-minute read, a couple of emails, and you're going to figure out, I know where to begin. Because you have the information. And if you don't have the information, I understand that you might not know where to go. It's presented to you today. And this information is not only for you, it's for your kids, it's for your grandkids, and it's for everyone that you love dearly. Because the more we can get this out, the more we're going to start to get rid of all of the systemic type of illnesses that our culture and that our society is being faced with on a daily basis. We can make some changes today. Be that change, make that change, and then elevate yourself to a better and happier life. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. Check out the links in the description box below, and we'll be more than happy to help you toward your journey to success. Until then, everyone take care.